There's a lunar eclipse on March 3rd at 12 degrees of Virgo. And this is not just about organization or about your schedule. This eclipse is about your reactions to the things around you. It is about that automatic process inside of you that triggers a response. I'm talking about when you see a news report or you get an email or someone says something to you, and suddenly your body tightens and your mind spirals and old symptoms appear. Now, this eclipse is all about that and how to deactivate that trigger. So this is a Virgo lunar eclipse, and Virgo is not just about being organized or having a tidy desk. It represents process, and that's how you do things. It represents how we respond to external stimuli. This is how our body's nervous system organizes all the information that we receive. So Virgo governs how we do things, but also it is about how our body responds physically to the external things in the world. And of course, the moon is hypersensitive. The moon here, hears some certain language and then feels that immediate anxiety, or sees the headline and then the body reacts. The moon is where we are taking in information that really affects us emotionally, right down to our core. Now, this particular lunar eclipse sits right with the South Node, and the South Node represents old karmic patterns. These are those automatic behaviors that are so ingrained. You've practiced them so many times that they feel like they're permanent. This is where there's an emotional response to something that is so fast you don't even realize that you're doing it. Now, the thing about these patterns is at one time they were very useful. They really helped you be alert and to stay safe. But now, for some reason, either the pattern is outdated or it's become so hypersensitive in you that it's just getting triggered all the time. So this eclipse is talking about examining that trigger, examining that pattern, and releasing it. Now, opposite this full moon / lunar eclipse is we have 4 planets. That is the Sun, Mars, Mercury, and Venus. They're all in the sign of Pisces, and the North Node in Pisces is there as well. And so Pisces is the counterweight to the Virgo. Pisces says, go within. It's when you kind of soften everything to look at things in a new way. It is to understand the inner you. So the Sun there in Pisces helps you connect with your inner knowing. Mars is about taking action from that intuitive place. Mercury allows you to see and understand the subtle signs around you. And Venus is that part where you're compassionate to yourself, where you are saying that, allowing yourself the time and the energy needed to heal. So in some cases, Pisces is all about escape, but in this time, it's more about examining the parts of you that have become so sensitive, so emotional, that it's now feels like you have to deal with it. But there's a problem, because this is a lunar eclipse, and so the Earth stands between the Sun and the Moon. So the Earth represents kind of earth-bound reality, and that is, it's your job. It's that you have to make the meal, that you have to get in the car and do the errands, that you need to answer email or fold the laundry. It is all of those tangible obligations and responsibilities that you have just to keep life moving forward. And right now, those things are so big and amplified and take up so much time, there's no time for self-reflection and healing. So in this lunar eclipse, Virgo's identifying the trigger. Pisces can dissolve the trigger, but the Earth in the middle says there's no time to do this. And the problem is that with this eclipse, it doesn't feel safe to let go of all the earthly things to step back and look at these reactions and these routines. It's that it's going to take a moment of trust so that you can pause, even for a few minutes, so that you can pinpoint what triggered the anxiety or what triggered the physical reaction. And then you can go in and release that, dissolve that trigger. So you may be caught up in this idea that if I don't stay alert all the time, then something could go wrong. Or if I relax, I'm going to miss something that's really important. Or if I stop reacting, then everything's out of control. So this is what this Virgo eclipse is about. Virgo identifies the pattern. The Pisces side gets to help you deactivate it. But it's only if you will give yourself the time and the space to do so. Let me know in the comments what you're noticing under this Virgo eclipse. And if you would like to know more about your chart and what's ahead for you in 2026, I do readings. There's more information in the description. So when we look at a lunar eclipse, of course, one of the first things we ask is, are we affected by this eclipse? And so starting with the easiest way to determine whether you were hit by the eclipse is if your birthday is within 5 days of March 3rd, you are getting a hit to your sun. That means that you are getting a hit to your sense of who you are, and that something in your life is coming to a close, and that's redefining how you describe yourself to yourself and to others. So things that could be, that would fit this would be like retiring, where you say, I no longer work there, and now you define yourself as retired. Or this might be where you are considering a move, or you just more accurately finished a move, and now you say, I'm no longer a resident of that place, I'm a resident of this place. So that would be the shift of identity. Now the next thing to look at is the degrees of the lunar eclipse itself, which is at 12 degrees, that's the little circle, and 54 minutes. So the 54 minutes we're not so concerned about. We're just interested in the 12 degrees. So I give a 5-degree orb for eclipses. So look through your chart and look for planets that are between 7 degrees and 17 degrees, and they're getting some sort of hit from this lunar eclipse. Now, the most important planets are going to be the personal planets. That's going to be the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars. Jupiter and Saturn are business planets. They're important, and a lunar eclipse hitting one of those could affect career, and so you want to kind of keep that in mind. All the rest of the planets are generational planets. That means everyone around your age is also getting hit. It can still quite affect you, but it doesn't necessarily bring something so personal. Now, the aspects that are going to be felt the most are the conjunction, square, and opposition. If your planet is between 7 and 17 degrees, and it is in Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, or Sagittarius, it's considered a direct hard hit. Well, not direct hit, but it's a hard hit. And that means you're about to experience something that is a little bit more intense than average. I've changed the chart from the Placidus house system to a 0 Aries chart. And so this is predictions for Aries and Aries rising. And here's the lunar eclipse falling in your area of work, health, and daily routines. So because this is a full moon / lunar eclipse, this is very much about looking at all of the things that have brought you to this moment, and specifically, what are the daily routines? What are the things you're doing every day that are now culminated into where you are at with your health and well-being, where you're at with your job, but also everything else too, because this is your daily routines build your life. It builds where you live and how you live and what your relationships are. The daily life is the building blocks of all of those things. So with this lunar eclipse, you get to examine those things, make small changes that are going to then take you in a whole new direction. Now, this is very much about looking at what brought you here and letting go of the stuff that's not working. That's more important than trying to add new systems or routine or processes. This is about actually looking at things at a granular level and removing some things from your life, whether that be things that you eat or, things that you're doing or people you're hanging out with, whatever is not helpful for you right now. On the other side of the chart, we see an enormous amount of energy that is surrounding that Aries ascendant, and that is you've got 4 planets in the 12th house and 2 planets in the 1st house. That's 60% of the chart, all around you. And so all of those planets in the 12th house are talking to you about how you can get guidance from a higher source, whether that is your higher self or the universe itself or a combination. And that is to go within, to be quiet for a moment, to pause for a moment, so that you can hear that guidance. And that can be done through moving meditations, like, taking a walk, being in nature, playing with a puppy, but maybe not having a lot of other people's words in your head at that moment. But also, of course, meditation, journaling, things like Tai Chi and yoga are all really good ways to tap into the spiritual. And then, because the Neptune and the Saturn there hit that reset button in your own sign of Aries, it is likely that whatever blueprints or plans or goals you are working on, you're tossing those aside and saying, those aren't important anymore. Or maybe you've always been a person who just kind of, flies by the seat of your pants. Well, that's great. Then this is a time where you're going to be in harmony with the energy and you're going to say, all right, give me the dice. I'm going to roll the dice. So this lunar eclipse makes really just one other aspect in that chart, in this chart, and that is that sextile to Jupiter. And Jupiter at the base of your chart is the foundation. That is, home and family, whoever that family might be, whether that is your blood family or your spiritual family, it is the foundation of where you live and how you live. That is your rock. That's your anchor right now. That's the solid place to land. Now, when it comes to relationships, we want to know what the ruler of the ascendant, of course, that's Mars for you, is doing with the ruler of the descendant. And this is all types of relationships, love relationships, friendships, and that descendant ruler would be Venus. And they are in very interesting position because they're doing an out-of-sign semi-sextile by being in the same sign. So I know it sounds a little confusing. They're both in Pisces, but they're kind of like bookends. They're on the opposite ends of the sign. And so they're a little out of touch. There's a lot of planets in between, so it's kind of like playing telephone. The information that you're getting about what your partner needs or what your friend needs may be coming through other sources, and so you're not necessarily hearing it really clearly. And they're not completely understanding what you're saying. And so it's necessary to take care when you are communicating, because it's, a small thing like that can blow up into some larger problem. This is looked at the details. The details are what's important. And so if you're getting tripped up about something, just consider that they don't understand what you're trying to say. Now, when it comes to your money, we want to know what the ruler of the second house is up to, and that is Venus for you. And Venus is not quite in your sign yet. It's right behind you. It's in a very powerful sector where it's getting close to your sign, but it's not quite there yet. So that's that very powerful energy of like the moment when you're falling asleep and ideas come to you, or when you're just waking up in the morning and then the universe is so loud and you can hear those messages about things you could do and opportunities. It's right at that point. And so financial opportunities and things like that, they feel like if you can pause for a moment before you leap out of bed, you may have this brilliant idea, something you can do. Now, this Venus is making a nice aspect with Uranus, which is still in your house of money, which does say that there is opportunities, especially for when you work for someone else, for getting some sort of raise or bonus. Usually this would be some sort of perk that may not be actual cash, but is still something valuable to you. This is also that some sort of side business might come to life and you start to see some activity with that, but it is going to take some effort to get things rolling. So I've taken a 0 Aries chart and I've turned the chart so Taurus is on the ascendant. So this is predictions for Taurus and Taurus rising. And down here in the 5th house, we find the eclipse. Now, 5th house is about, having fun and expressing yourself, about taking risks, doing creative things, but it's also about your kids. And so it's quite possible that it is something going on between you and your kids, or your kids are doing something that's important right now, and you're on the edge of your seat seeing how it's going to come out. Now, because this is the lunar eclipse and so close to that south node, it's more that somebody has to let go of something, somebody has to stop doing something so that then they can then have a better experience. If we're thinking about your kids or yourself, we're kind of asking, what is stopping you from having fun? What is stopping you from expressing yourself? What is stopping you from doing the creative projects? And sometimes you can utilize the things you would say to your kids, but take your own advice. So if there's something you can't see for yourself, but you know exactly what your kids should be doing, then turn that advice around and take it yourself. And, you probably have to modify it a little bit, but that can go a long way to help you and be a good example for them. So consider that as you're doing this eclipse energy. Now, when it comes to relationships, we're very interested in what the ascendant ruler, which in this case for you is Venus, and the descendant ruler is doing. You have 2 descendant rulers. One is Pluto, which Venus is not talking to Pluto right now, and Mars. And so Venus and Mars are in what we call an out of sign semisextile, even though they're in the same sign. They are the bookends of a sign. So Mars is at the very beginning, Venus is towards the end, and so they're actually not a conjunction, they're a semisextile. And that means that they are kind of squabbling a little bit, trying to understand each other. Now, this is in your area of the future and looking at what your goals are. So somewhere in your relationships, and this could be love relationship, friendship, a business partnership, your goals are not quite aligned. They're off a little bit. And that can be something where, your business partner's filtering everything through debt elimination while you are filtering everything into expansion of the brand. Or in a love relationship, this could be that one person is trying to establish friendships and something in the community, and the other one is busy unpacking and trying to get the house together. So this is a semisextile, which is a naturally irritating aspect, but because it's both in the same sign, you have an opportunity to sit down and understand each other and to find some sort of middle ground. That is, have the 2 planets that are on the bookends come together. So it is possible. There's enough planets and energy between these 2 to bridge the gap. Now, when it comes to your money, we want to know what's going on with the 2nd house and the ruler of the 2nd house. Now, we have Uranus that is going to be entering your 2nd house, but that's not till April, so we'll talk about it more then. Mostly what we are looking at is Mercury, which is retrograde, and it is making a nice trine to Jupiter. So the Mercury in your 11th house indicates that money, especially money from employment, money from if you own a business but you're integral to the business, or if you own a business and you're working side by side with the employees, that sort of money is what's highlighted here. It's making a trine to Jupiter in your house of communication, so that's more marketing, sending out proposals, doing branding, but this is also pulling the people who work for you together and giving them a shared vision. That's what can happen, where I see this energy of a second house ruler related to the third house, often with CEOs, because they need to convey that message of, this is the plan, this is what we're going to do, and get everybody excited about it. Well, here you have the energy to do that. This is really good for also talking with your supervisor and connecting and seeing where the company is going and how you fit in. If you are retired, this is energy for figuring out what's going on with your Social Security or your pension, doing a lot of communication and having a very positive result from that. So I've taken the 0 Aries chart and then I've turned it so Gemini is on the ascendant, and so this is predictions for Gemini and Gemini rising. And here is the lunar eclipse with that south node right at the base of the chart, and that is the home, family, and foundation area of the chart. So the energy here might be that there is a little shakeup at home. Somebody's made a big announcement. Maybe you are thinking about moving. Maybe you just moved and you're unpacking. Maybe there is something going on structurally with the house that needs your attention, a leak or something like that. This is also looking at the foundation, and that's not just a foundation of a house, but that's also the foundation that you've built on. What's your skill set? What do you have in savings? What's the pantry situation look like? So, and this is a time where you look at what you've amassed and say, now what do I need to let go of? That's usually when we're examining a foundation, we're seeing, what can we add? But this is, what is it that I need to release? So that's right at the base of your chart. It's also quite possible that family members may use up this energy, that it's not you making changes at home, but your parents or your kids, they're moving and changing things. And these may directly affect you, or you're just giving them moral support for whatever they're going through. So that can use up this energy. Now, when it comes to relationships, friendships, business partnerships, we want to know what the ruler of the ascendant, and that would be your chart ruler, Mercury, is doing with the ruler of the descendant, and that's Jupiter. So, and they are making a beautiful trine. So despite the fact that they're both retrograde, that's not a problem, because they are coming together tighter than ever. Even though they're both retrograde and both moving backwards, Mercury is faster, and so it's going to catch up with that Jupiter. And so you have more harmony in your relationships. It's really good with these retrograde planets to go over something that was a point of contention before, because you can smooth it out, make it better. Your communication is good, especially around things you value, your finances, or something about material goods, things you own. So this extends to business partnerships, friendships. It's all very good energy. It means that communication is understood. You can come to an agreement. And then when it comes to your money, we look to the moon as the ruler of your second house, and it's making just that one aspect right to that Jupiter, a very nice sextile. That is an opportunity that as you do release through this lunar eclipse, you then have your hands free to take hold of financial opportunities. This is the things that you're holding on to, if they're not valuable, if they're not helping you, if they're even especially weighing you down, just letting those go can bring more financial opportunities. It gives you the bandwidth to work on business things. It can help you see clearly about where to spend your money. So this is a really good energy for this lunar eclipse. As you let go, you gain. So I've taken the Placidus chart, I turned it into a 0 Aries chart, and then I turned the chart to put Cancer on the ascendant, and so this is predictions for Cancer and Cancer rising. And here is our lunar eclipse in your area of communication. This is also activities, siblings, neighbors, things like transportation, your vehicle. So these are the types of things that you're looking at in your life in detail to see, now that you've arrived here, is this where you wanted to be? This could mean that you're really considering getting a new vehicle, or maybe paying off your vehicle so you don't have the payments anymore, maybe detailing your vehicle so you can bring it back up to its former glory. This may be more interaction with siblings and neighbors, especially around the boundaries that you have with each other, or to improve communications. This could be that you are looking at your marketing for your business and saying, all right, these things that we were doing, they're not working. We need to let those go and start to think about other things we could be doing. There may be some contracts or something like that, and you're probably waiting because Mercury is retrograde, and that is understandable. If this is a contract where you're repeating the energy, such as you sign this employment contract every 3 months, then it's fine to sign during Mercury retrograde. Check the fine print and all, but yeah, the retrograde energy is not going to harm that. But if you're signing some big contract you can't get out of, if you can hold back until Mercury goes direct, that would be a good idea. Now, when it comes to love relationships, friendships, and business collaborations, we look at what the moon, the ruler of the ascendant, is doing with Saturn. And right now, there's not a lot going on between these two. I mean, moon's in Virgo, Saturn's in Aries. These are very different signs, very different energies. And so it's like there's a divide between the two of you. And you'll be very aware of what this divide is. But one of you needs to cross the rope bridge to get to the other person. You can't meet on the rope bridge, not with an inconjunct energy. So it's necessary for one of you to let go of the safety of your position, or what it is you're standing for, or what you're holding on to go to the other person. Now, the other person could do this too. This is not just you have to do it. The other person could say, no, I'm going to let go of my position. I'm going to let go of what I'm stubbornly holding on to and come to you. But that's the energy. Now, for this eclipse, this is something where you realize, oh, the two of us are not on the same page in this particular area of life. It's not going to be everything. There's just going to be something where the two of you are just not agreeing. And it's necessary right now, if you want to agree in this area, for you to say, all right, I'm going to be in your shoes and understand how you came to this opinion, why you're so interested in this. And if they would do the same, then it's very easy to come together. This is not necessarily something that is going to give you problems in the relationship. You may be very aware that you have a completely different stance, that they love, galloping on a horse and you want to stay on the sofa. Like it can be something like that, where then they go horseback riding and you stay at home, and that's okay. The idea here is if this is something you want to work out, the only way to do it is to have one of you let go of their position and come to the other side. Now, when it comes to your money, we want to know what's going on with your second house, and that is ruled by the sun. The sun right here making that beautiful trine to Jupiter. So when it comes to your money, the ideas that you have, the expansion you could do, all of the things that you want to accomplish start with you taking the leadership role. Jupiter is in your own sign. This is your time to move forward, saying, I'm going to trust in my own abilities. I'm going to knock on the doors. I'm going to, if it's a product or service, I'm going to offer that to the people. If this is an idea that needs negotiation or contracts, you're going to at least pull the information together so that as soon as Mercury goes direct, then you can start to get contracts signed and things like that. So this is really positive energy for making more money, finding sources of money, establishing something that is going to enrich you, so you don't want to miss this energy. So I have taken the chart and made it a 0 Aries chart, and then I've turned the chart, and so Leo is on the ascendant, and this is predictions for Leo and Leo rising, and here is the lunar eclipse lighting up your area of money. And so because it's an eclipse, it does mean that there is possibly some sort of change happening when it comes to your finances. You may be looking at where you have arrived at this time and say you're not happy with your financial situation and that you have to stop doing something. And maybe that is spending, or maybe that is giving out the money and giving it away, or maybe it's not paying attention to your investments. Maybe you have to look at a different source of income because the one that you have is not paying enough. So there can be those sort of things that are happening with this eclipse. Eclipses do indicate some sort of change is necessary, but because of the changes that happen, you could be in a much better place in a few months. So you want to be open to the changes and the possibilities. Now, sometimes what an eclipse in the second house is about is your sense of deserving, your sense of worthiness, because that can block the opportunities. If you see yourself as being worthy and able to handle, the opportunities that are coming in, the universe is happy to send them. And this sits opposite all of these planets in your 8th house. 8th house is resources from others. There are so many opportunities for you to get help, to get maybe funding, to get somebody who's going to work side by side with you, some expert who's going to take you by the hand. That's all available to you now. That's where you want to look and say, there are some opportunities here that perhaps you haven't availed yourself of because you're so busy doing the other things, and that's where you want to let go so you can grab hold of something new. I love the fact, too, that this eclipse is making that nice sextile to Jupiter. It's still in your 12th house. That is your guardian angel. That means you have more options when it comes to spiritual help, spiritual protection. That means that the different means of making that connection happen with the universe through prayer and journaling and meditation and those sort of things are stronger now. So you really want to utilize that until Jupiter goes into Leo. When Jupiter goes into your own sign, then you'll have all of this outward facing, making connections and luck and all that. We'll be talking about that in the future. But right now, this is a very active guardian angel aspect, and you want to capitalize on it. Now, when it comes to relationships, this is very much about this whole group of planets up here in the 8th house, because we want to know what the sun is doing, and the sun's sitting right in the middle of all these other planets. And this is allowing other people to give to you, to get close to you, to learn some of your secrets, to learn what it is that you really want, and to trust that they're going to be either a good caretaker of that secret, or if they're not, then you need to change that relationship. This is where you get to have a deeper connection with somebody because you have that conversation. So the energy here, I think, is very positive, but it does mean that you do have to sit down with that person, and you both have to open up. Now, of course, we already talked about your money, but we also want to check the ruler of your house of money, and that is Mercury. Mercury is retrograde in the area of resources from others. That includes business income, also income from investments, passive income sources. With Mercury retrograde, you have to re-look at those. This is a time of an eclipse. Something may have changed in the investment strategy, who runs the investment, the whole basis that you made the investment on may have changed. You know, the idea to take that Susie Orman saying, if you wouldn't buy the investment today, she says, sell it immediately. That sort of looking at, you know, how you got to this point, and now has the situation changed? That's what the retrograde is about. Has the situation changed enough that now you want to do something different with your money? So for Virgo and Virgo rising, I have shifted this chart. So we have Virgo on the ascendant. And so these are your predictions. And of course, this is your lunar eclipse. And so that means that even if you're not getting a direct hit, this is an important time for you. It's in your sign, and so your life is changing. And over the time that, you know, we've already had some Virgo eclipses, we've had some Pisces eclipses, which are the opposition to your sign, that this whole season of eclipses, and it's even more than the season because we'll have another Pisces eclipse in August. This is a time where you are supposed to be making some changes. Now, this is in your first house, so this is a change of you, how you are expressing yourself to the world, how you maybe dress or talk or act, or what kind of actions are you taking? What lead are you taking the lead? Are you letting somebody else lead? And because this is a letting go eclipse, is what are you going to release so that you can then be more agile, that you can move forward on a relationship or a business opportunity? What can you let go of that's been holding you back? And I love the fact that this eclipse here does make that beautiful sextile to Jupiter. So that is your opportunity to find out, you know, through friendships and your community, you know, what kind of support you can get, who is trying to step up and help you out. They may be coming to you and have a lot of suggestions, things that you've already thought through, you know, haven't really decided to do. And even if you've done all the mental spreadsheets and said, it's not right for me to let go of this, if the crowd is coming and saying you should let go of this, consider maybe it's something that you're not seeing. And so try it out. But this says there's community out there for you. And that if you get out into the world, you'll find that people have been wanting to meet you, wanting to connect with you, but you haven't seen them. You haven't been there to you know, or they were not saying it in a way that was noticeable, but something's shifting here and giving you an opportunity to connect with others. Now, when it comes to relationships, there is so much energy here because we're looking at what's going on, of course, in the first house as well as the seventh house, and that is a lot of energy. Now, you are Virgo or Virgo rising, which means that Mercury is very important and Mercury is retrograde. This can bring back someone from your past. This could mean that you get a second chance to work something out with someone. This can mean that you're going over the same thing with your partner, but you have a choice now of taking a different side. Take their side and see what they do, you know, to look at the situation differently. If you're looking for love, boy, an eclipse could bring a really tumultuous relationship, so be careful. If you want a wild and crazy fling, yeah, you could find someone. But if you're looking for something solid, this is a time more to look at yourself, what has brought you to this point. Check in with your friends and ask them, you know, like, what would you advise? What would you tell me to do differently? What am I not doing? And then consider implementing that when we get to the new moon, which will be later in the month. So, and then when it comes to your money, we want to know what the second house is doing, and the ruler of your second house is Venus. And it doesn't look like it at first glance, but this Venus is actually conjunct the Neptune and the Saturn. Technically, it's conjunct that Mercury retrograde too, but Mercury's going the other way. So that one's just getting thinner and thinner and thinner. But that Venus is moving towards that Saturn and Neptune. And I have a feeling I said the wrong planet there, but it's moving towards Saturn and Neptune. And that means that you are are looking at the visions, the ideas. I mean, there's so many ideas right now, and you might be sifting through them and saying, okay, well, this one looks hard and I don't know how to do this one. But if you stop and say, but I really want this, then the steps to do it, the way to get it done, the way to find the resources to make it happen, all of that can come together. It's just a matter of kind of slowing down and trusting that if you're really interested in it, then there's a way to do it. That's what this configuration is talking about. And I have more information for Virgo and Virgo rising. That's going to be in the spotlight video, and that will be released to the members first, and then in a week or so, then it will go out to everybody. So if you are interested in getting that information right away, consider joining. The link to become a member is in the description. Okay, Libra and Libra rising, let me find a pen, I have turned the Zero Aries chart so that Libra's on the ascendant. So these are predictions for Libra and Libra rising. And here in the 12th house is that eclipse energy. And it's interesting because the 12th house is our shadow side. It is the side of us where we may try to escape to. It's the possible addictions or those temptations that, that can pull us down, and letting go of some of those or all of those right now is a really good idea. The other thing this is it's the house of where we might feel guilty or feel ashamed. And those would be also energies to let go of during this eclipse, because the idea of, if you feel like you've done something wrong, there are steps you can take to make amends and to either ask for forgiveness or to forgive yourself. But if you are holding on and not doing that, it's just dragging you down. The purpose of the mistake is to learn from the mistake, and then you can release the energy and move on. Here is the perfect pivot point to move on. Now, this comes at a time when you're probably extremely busy because we have a full 6th house. That means there's so much going on in your life. There's hardly any time for things like meditation or self-reflection or, processing past emotions. But it is really important to try to squeeze out that time. This can be with so much going on in your 6th house that you are dealing with some health concerns or that you are dealing with some stuff going on at work. And again, it's just taking a lot of your time and energy. But the things that I was talking about with processing some of the past stuff, it might just be 10 minutes in the morning, before you have your coffee, or right at the end of the day, where you just take a few minutes and do some journaling. And if you let go of that, whatever this is, it can give positive energy around your health, around your job, around your daily life. So it's worth doing. Now, when it comes to relationships of all kinds, love and partnerships, business partnerships, friendships, we are always checking to see what's going on, of course, in the 7th house, where you have that big reset that happens. So something big's probably been brewing anyway when it comes to relationships, even if it's just the determination of getting more friendships going, reconnecting with someone from the past and things like that. But also what's going on between Venus and Mars, the ruler of the ascendant and the ruler of the descendant. And they're in a semi-sextile aspect, but they're in the same sign, which is really interesting. So they're like the bookends of the sign. And so they feel like they're on the same page, but there's a huge amount of real estate between the two of them. Now, in this real estate between them are a whole bunch of planets, well, at least 2, and the North Node. And that is that there's communication happening, but perhaps it's kind of like a game of telephone, where by the time your partner hears it, it's a little not clear. They're not hearing it as you're saying it. There's something lost in translation. So that's where you need to take the time to really spell out what it is you're trying to say and really get definitions of what your partner is trying to say. This may be a case that you're using the same vocabulary, but you define it differently. So that's what this semi-sextile is about. And you can work out things during this time because, it's a fairly comfortable semi-sextile because both of the planets are in the same sign. So when it comes to your money, you have two rulers of your money house. One is Pluto, and Pluto right now is not very active in this chart. The one we want to talk about is Mars. Mars here is at 0 degrees of Pisces, and by the time you see this video, my Mars in Pisces video is out. And so because Mars does rule your house of money, you always want to check out those videos because that is a very active planet for you when it comes to money. You'll be able to follow those important dates and see what that energy means for you. Specifically, Mars is going through your area of work and daily routines. So now Mars is at 0 degrees of Pisces. So we have letting go energy, and then the 0 degree says new ideas are coming in. So this is you doing something a little bit different, doing it differently, and that's going to bring some different results. Are they better results? We don't know yet. You have to try them. That's what the whole human existence is about. We try new things, and then some of them work and some of them don't work. So as this Mars moves along this house, which is going to take more than a month, it is going to bring you new opportunities to make money. And these are going to be hands-on things you need to actively be working on. That's the secret sauce right now. So I've taken the 0 Aries chart and I've turned it so Scorpio is on the ascendant. So this is predictions for Scorpio and Scorpio rising. And here is the lunar eclipse up in your area of community and friendships. This is also your area of thinking about the future and technology and innovation and embracing all of the changes that are going on. And the eclipse says you have to let go of something to grab hold of this. And that is that it may be the letting go of the old ways, but maybe it's something new, some sort of thing you just adopted maybe this last month, but now it's out of date. Now it's no longer working. It's especially true when it comes to goals. Sometimes it's very helpful to have that moving goalpost. So a goal that you had before now seems too easy, so you let it go and you push that goalpost forward. I think that's perfectly fine because I think I like to have something that I'm moving towards. This is also about friendships and looking to see whether the friendships you have are lifting you up or if they're pulling you down. And you will have to let go of the ones that are those kind of chains around your ankles that are holding you back from floating and being free. And then I think it's interesting how the moon, the lunar eclipse, is sitting opposite all of these planets in your 5th house. And so this is the area of fun where you have all these planets. And this is the area of community. And so it may be that you're deferring to other people and saying, okay, we'll do what you guys want to do. And I'll just wait on the things that I want to do. And that's where some balance is needed, where you might want to suggest, some of the things that you want to do, even though they may not be the favorites of the group. So let's see if you can get something, like that you can do both things. Now, when it comes to relationships, we want to know about the ruler of your ascendant, and you have 2 rulers, that is Pluto and Mars, and their interaction with the ruler of the descendant, which is Venus. Pluto's not talking to Venus, but Mars is in a semi-sextile with Venus, but it's an interesting one because they're both in the same sign. Now, normally a semi-sextile, 30 degrees apart, are in different signs, but you have the bookends here of 2 planets, one at the beginning of the sign and one towards the end of the sign. And so that means that they are in the same sign, which brings harmony, but they're also not necessarily understanding each other. And the thing that's happening here with the North Node Sun and Mercury between them is that something's getting lost in translation. So you seem like you're getting along, but there are some basic things that could be better, that could shift if you'll stop and say, how do you define this term? Or what do you really mean when you say this? Or this is what I mean when I say that. This sort of defining what it is down to a granular level is super helpful right now. That can bring the two of you together and make this chain of planets in between be, that helpful glue for all types of relationships you have, including business partnerships and friendships. Now, when it comes to your money, we look at what Jupiter is up to. It's a very big box, and Jupiter is up here in your area of education and expansion and foreign things, making a beautiful trine both to the Sun and to Mercury. And that means that you have really good opportunities, but it do require you stepping out of your comfort zone, being a little bit creative, maybe taking a risk. This isn't about, betting the farm, but more about taking a risk of asking for the sale, talking to them about the contract. It's Mercury retrograde, so you don't necessarily want to sign the contract just yet, but at least talking about it. But this is also about getting creative about how you're looking at your marketing, getting creative about how you get your products, or if this is where you're working for someone else, getting creative about how you ask for projects and looking at the kind of projects that you would like to do, maybe ones you might suggest. So the opportunities here for more money are extremely strong because you're doing some really positive energy. So I've taken that 0 Aries chart and I've turned it so Sagittarius is on the ascendant. So this is predictions for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. And here is that lunar eclipse right at the very top of your chart. This affects your career and reputation. And so that means that something is changing. And that can be that something's getting let go of or reduced or consolidated when it comes to your job. So that maybe, maybe AI is actually doing some of the tasks, and now you have to let those tasks go. And that will mean that new doors and opportunities will open up for you, and you can take hold of those. This is also, though, that it can be that your job is not as stable as it was before, and it's time to start looking around if you haven't already, that you do have lots of opportunity, because as a door closes, a new opportunity, a better opportunity opens up, because that's what the eclipse does. This is also about your reputation and being aware of the responsibilities around what you put out into the world, and the things that go out, and especially the things that go viral, are going to be out there forever. And so it's necessary to pay attention to that. This is an eclipse that's sitting opposite all of these planets down at the base of your chart. You have such a strong foundation here. That means that you have skills, you have contacts, you have abilities that can then be the base of this rocket ship to send you off into wherever you want to go. So recognize that you have all of those things that no matter what, those can't be taken away from you. Those are yours and they're permanent. So that as you point your ship in different directions, you have a very strong foundation in which to launch from. Now, when it comes to relationships, we want to know what Jupiter, the ruler of your ascendant, is doing with Mercury, the ruler of your descendant. And while they're both retrograde, they are making a lovely trine. A trine energy means that the relationship could be going very well, that you might be rehashing something from the past, but that's okay. This could be a past lover coming back. This could be a business partnership that you are reviving, or a friendship that had faded away and now it's back. So this is very positive energy coming in. This is also really good energy for getting closer in a relationship. So if you have a love relationship, you're understanding each other better. You're learning each other's secrets. You're learning how to trust each other. Now, when it comes to your money, of course, the big news is not about the house, but about the planet that rules this house, and that is Saturn. Saturn just finished that reset with Neptune. And so that is going to cause you to think differently about your money. how you're making it. There are so many now ways to make money, so many different sources of money, so many different opportunities. But here now, Saturn and Neptune in your 5th house of creativity and stepping out of your comfort zone. It is about starting something new, finding a new path when it comes to money. There is going to be more than one opportunity. There'll be maybe literally dozens of opportunities. Can't necessarily do them all. So you want to take a look at them, kind of feel them out, and then open it up and start to play with it a little bit, see how hard it's going to be, break things down into the simplest steps possible, and then build your skills. Just like you've built all your other skills, you're Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising, you know how to gather skills. So this is just that next thing to do is, what are the skills for making money? So I've taken the 0 Aries chart and I have turned the chart so Capricorn's on the ascendant. So this is predictions for Capricorn and Capricorn rising. And here is that lunar eclipse. It is up here in this area of education. This is also the area of legal matters and beliefs and your faith, so spiritual matters. It is also about things dealing with foreign countries and travel. So I know that's a lot of different things, but something in that list is probably going on in your life. And so when it comes to education, this may be about letting go of something so that you can focus your energies on a course of study that's more important, or that you can concentrate on getting really good grades in a fewer classes because you let go of a class. This may be something about a lawsuit or a legal matter where you need to let go of some aspect of it so that it becomes clearer, because that it becomes easier to solve, where you might have to let go of some things so that the other person can then say, okay, I've saved face and now I can give you everything that you want. So this could be about travel and looking at your travel documents or your import-export business. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about beliefs, and maybe that's the thing, is because you have such a strong house of thinking and ideas down here, that maybe this is for you looking at a belief that you had. Maybe you've had it since you were a child. Maybe you adopted this and you firmly believe it, but it's not really true and it's not really helping you. And so beliefs like this can be, that you're deficient in some area, or that you're not lucky, or that, the world's against you, like things like this. And I know that, especially when I talk to, some new clients will come in and they'll say, is this ever going to happen? Well, yes, it can, but it starts with a shift of thinking and to see it as a possibility. So the idea here is to examine your beliefs and see if something needs to be discarded. Now, when it comes to relationships, we're going to look at what's going on in that 7th house, and Jupiter is still there until June, bringing you luck and expanding the opportunities when it comes to relationships, partnerships, collaborations. And so you really want to focus on that. Pretty soon, Jupiter is going to move into the next house, bringing luck and opportunity there. And that's fine. But right now, you want to really capitalize on this. That means get out in the world if you want to meet someone new, if you want to find friends, if you want to find a love relationship or even a business partnership. And then also looking at those partnerships and connections you have now, and how can you expand what you do with that person? Maybe you have a friend and you see them occasionally. Maybe you could see them more often. Maybe you could walk together. A business partnership, maybe you want to expand the business, and so you want to be shoulder to shoulder and go forward. So this is capitalize on that luck that Jupiter is bringing. And then when it comes to your money, we want to look at both of the rulers of your money house. And so that first one is Uranus. Uranus is going to change signs and go into your house of work in April. We're going to be talking a lot about that. When it goes into Gemini, you're going to have so many new ideas and so many opportunities to go in new directions. But recently, the co-ruler Saturn hit that 0 degrees with Neptune and did that reset. And so when it comes to your money, there could have been some sort of new idea you had, like, okay, I'm going to try this new type of investing, or I'm going to diversify in a new way, or I'm going to work on getting a different source of income. That is really positive for a reset. If you haven't done a reset, what you really want to focus on is looking at how you see money, how you think about your worthiness, how you think about the lessons that you were taught as a child, and hit the reset button where you can in those. If you are not in the place that you want to be financially, to say, all right, that I may have been using that lesson all this time, but I don't have to use it anymore. I don't have to carry this limitation with me anymore. I don't have to hold on to this block. So I've taken the 0 Aries chart and I've turned it so Aquarius is on the ascendant, and so this is predictions for Aquarius and Aquarius rising. And this puts the lunar eclipse right here in your area of resources from others and power. This is where you let go of something in your life, something that's holding you back, so that you can have more power. Power is about being able to make your own choices, to pivot when you want to pivot, to choose something because you're curious about it, not because you're afraid that you're going to lose that choice. So when we're looking here at power, this is about letting go of fear, and instead embracing the idea that you can handle things, that whatever is coming, you can deal with it. Now, this is sitting opposite this whole clump of planets in your house of money. That is so many financial opportunities. When you release the fear, the hesitation, the nervousness, then you can see, wow, money opportunities growing all around you. And that's something that you can then grab hold of. So you can put it in your pocket. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the money part of this. But the first thing is to look, are you giving away your power? Are you saying, oh, I need to be afraid of all these things that other people are telling me I need to be afraid of? Or are you saying, everybody's telling me I should be afraid of this. I wonder what they're talking about. Be curious instead. Now, when it comes to relationships, we want to know basically what's going on with Uranus and what's going on with the sun, the ruler of your descendant. And so Uranus is still sitting in your 4th house. It's going to be doing that until April, and then it's going to be changing signs and going into the sign of Gemini, and you're going to have a blast when it's in Gemini, because that's going to bring you a million ideas and a million opportunities. And being Aquarius or Aquarius rising, you're able to take hold of that Gemini energy, which is an air sign like your own, and be able to utilize that. The sun being in the 2nd house here is talking about, that when you are in a relationship, it does cost you something. It costs you either time or resources or something. And you have to weigh those relationships to see if that is worth it. You also have to recognize, to have relationships, that you are worthy of relationships. And that's also the sun in the 2nd house, is to say, yes, I bring something of value to the table, and so therefore I'm worthy to have this person put time and energy and money into me. And so that's what the relationship energy is. This is a lot about thinking about it. You have a very strong chart right now for thinking about it and shifting something that then opens up new avenues for you later. And then when it comes to your money, you have a couple of things I want to talk about, and that is the 2 rulers of your house of money. I mean, of course, first, obviously, you have a full house of money. That means different sources of money, opportunities can come in, new ways of making money, gifts, and all kinds of things like that. But also that the co-ruler Jupiter is making a very nice trine to the sun and to Mercury. And so work, Jupiter in your 6th house, is directly leading to money opportunities. So you do whatever effort it is, or you hire people to do it, and that leads to money. That's really good. But the second, the co-ruler of your money, Neptune, just went through that Saturn-Neptune reset where they hit that 0 degree of Aries together in February. And that caused you maybe to start thinking about your money in a whole different way. When you start to do that, you shift your relationship with the energy of money, and then it's more likely that you can find the conduit to allow money to come to you. You know, if you have a scarcity mentality, then money gets scarce. But if you see that there are money opportunities everywhere, that it's easier now to make money than ever before because there are so many different tools that you can utilize, that kind of shift of thinking leads to more money. So I've taken the 0 Aries chart and I've turned the chart so Pisces is on the ascendant. So these are predictions for Pisces and Pisces rising. And this puts the lunar eclipse right here in your house of others. And so for this lunar eclipse, unless you're getting a really direct hit of this lunar eclipse, it's possible that other people in your life are going through changes and things, and that's going to use up a lot of this energy. It's also possible that this eclipse is going to be about relationships for you, about finding new friendships, about getting a closer relationship with your partner, or dealing with issues between you and a business partner. Now, you're in a very strong position here because look at how much Pisces there is. And these are all quite favorable planets. Mars, which can, sometimes walk that malefic walk, is, though, in your own sign of Pisces. And so you can take hold of that energy and use it for what you want. That is more than a month of really focused, direct action that you can take, whatever the situation calls for. So you have some great opportunities here for, creating relationships, but also creating everything else that you want. Mars is the planet of leadership, and this is leadership from a Pisces way, which is that you strike forward and then you let the chips fall where they may, and you, using your intuition, you're able to navigate your way through. But the other thing that's so interesting about this and relationships in general is you've got two kind of very different forces going on. You have the chart ruler of Neptune, and Neptune just went through this big reset, which is so much of, saying, okay, I'm just a different person right now. And I think that Pisces and Pisces rising have more of an experience of that with this Neptune-Saturn conjunction at 0 Aries. It was just, for a long, long time, Neptune and Saturn were in your own sign. And they're both malefics. And now that burden and that weight is off of you. That's great. But the other side of this is that when it hit that reset, you could have a choice now to be different, to decide that your identity is different, that you're going to describe yourself differently to others. Now, at the same time, we look at the descendant ruler, which is Mercury, which is retrograde, but in your first house here. And so this is someone coming back from your past saying, I hope you're the same. I want to get started again. And you can say to them, I'm not the same. And maybe you're saying to them, I hope you're not the same also, because it didn't work out before. Or if this is just that you drifted apart and you come back together, when you come back together, you come back together differently because now you are different. So the universe is bringing you back, that Mercury retrograde is bringing back people from your past, but they may not recognize you because you have gone through that Neptune-Saturn reset. And then when it comes to your money, of course, we want to know what's going on in your second house, which is that home of that reset. But it's also about that Mars. Mars now at 0 degrees of Pisces, meaning you have a full month, more than a month, of taking that direct action. That means you take the action, then money comes. That means you can get a new job if you want. You can work toward a promotion if you want. You can expand your business if you want. You can look at investments if you want. The opportunities for you are all on you. You decide, you take the action, you put your foot on the path, then the universe brings you the opportunities, the people to help you, the open doors, etc. Now, that reset did hit your house of money. That means that it is necessary for you to look at how you're handling your money, and hopefully you are considering or already started to do some changes in that area, because the reset says you have to. And one of the biggest changes to make is that sense of worthiness, to get yourself in a place where you know you're worthy of abundance. And when you do that, then you harmonize with the energy of money, and money comes to you. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. There will be a spotlight video for Virgo and Virgo rising. That's going to go on the membership site first for a week, and then it will be available to everybody. Also, there are other videos available on the membership site that stay on the membership site. So there is a link to join, to become a member. That's in the description. There's also links to my newsletter and my classes in the description. I hope you'll come to some of my classes. They are live Zoom classes, and they are often recorded. So if you can't make the live class, at least you get the recording. And I will see you in the next video.